Warm welcome to an exclusive episode of the Monday Morning Learning Podcast. This is branded as the Catalyst, Campus Catalyst, I should say. Warm welcome to you, Kiran. How are you doing today?
Very good. Thank you, Ravi. Good morning to you and good morning to you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Warm welcome to Shardul, Nandini, and Mihika. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Excellent. Okay, so Kiran, what we're going to do today, we actually have got 5 themes, and 3 themes are being led by Shardul, Nandini, and Mihika, so one each for them.
Yeah.
So overall goal is basically to unpack the evolution of governance, analytics, and AI in regulated financial environments through the lens of you who scale global teams and build 100 million plus practices while balancing innovation, compliance, and humanity. That is the overall goal. And in terms of the podcast themes, the first 2, I'll be asking you questions on the human backbone of risk analytics. Then we will look at building GCCs that matter. I think the third one, led by Nandini, governing AI in regulated environments. She'll have a couple of questions there. Fourth, lessons in leadership, scaling without losing soul. That's Mihika. And finally, Shardul will be leading, giving back and going beyond. So these are the themes that we are looking at. So we'll start off with you, Kiran. Can you give us a brief introduction about you before we kick off?
Sure. Once again, a very warm good morning. I really appreciate you joining this podcast on a Sunday. And Ravi, can't thank you enough for inviting me for this podcast. Really wonderful interacting with our young friends on the podcast. So thank you so much. Really looking forward to this. A quick background. I will not go into too much detail. It's been a long journey of 25 plus years in banking, in analytics, working across global capability centers and third-party consulting companies, etc. Working with many global banks, primarily in the space of risk management, risk analytics, and bit of marketing. And there are many different types of risks which I worked across: credit risk, market risk, operational risk, the primary risks, right? So it's been a long journey. By qualification, like our friends here, I'm an engineer myself, a mechanical engineer, and also did my MBA from Bharatidasan Institute of Management, which is located in Trichy. I had the good fortune of traveling across, growing up across India in various locations, looking at cultures closely. So my last job was with Wells Fargo, which is a very large American bank in their GCCs. I'm kind of on my own right now, exploring many options. But I'm here talking to Nandini, Shardul, and Mihika. It's a wonderful opportunity to learn from them too and share my experiences. The way, of course, nowadays there's no discussion without mention of AI, right? So and the fantastic progress it's kind of making. But I would like to go beyond AI, because when I started my career, we didn't talk about it. I want to bring in the human element, like you rightly said, Ravi. I want to talk about the human curiosity, the human purpose, the passion that come into play with or without AI, right? So I would like to kind of also dwell on that besides talking about AI. That's brief about me. I'll pass it back to you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kiran. So we'll start with Shardul. Brief introduction about you, please.
Good morning. I'm Shardul Nalegave. I'm a 30 undergrad student pursuing my B in Computer Engineering at Pune Institute of Computer Technology, PICT. It's an institute renowned for its expertise in technical education and has its alumni network, including various leaders and innovators like, say, Michael Suzai, Nehan Arkade, the co-founder of Apache Kafka, and also Nikki Parmar, who is the co-author of the research paper, Attention is All You Need.
Wow, that's great. Thank you. Thank you, Shardul. Nandini?
Yeah. Good morning. I am Nandini Patavri, a third-year BTech student pursuing artificial intelligence and machine learning at Symbiosis Institute of Technology. So my branch has started this specialized program in 2021. It was in collaboration with Symbiosis Center for Applied AI, which emphasizes on research-led learnings. Personally, I am more passionate about data because, as they say, the data is the new oil. And I love going deep into the data sets, drawing insights, and transforming raw information into solutions that matter. So, for the last, I'm very grateful for this opportunity that is given by my department. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Nandini. Mehika?
Hello, my name is Mihika Khare. I'm a junior at Cummins College of Engineering, Pune, and I'm pursuing mechanical engineering as my degree. And as a student, it's very difficult to stick to one engineering field, and we have a lot of interests. And so my college has been wonderful in helping me explore inter engineering field like control systems and whatnot. They have given me hands-on projects, and it's been a great platform, and it's been a very enjoyable journey. And I'm very glad to be here on this podcast. So thank you to Ravi sir as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Mehika. Great start now. So, Kiran, shooting the first questions from the theme of human backbone of risk and analytics. Looking back, how did your early roles in underwriting and credit risk shape your approach to modeling risk later at Genpact and Wells Fargo? That's question number one, Kiran. And you managed large-scale model teams in both Genpact and Wells Fargo. What human qualities did you prioritize while building these teams, Kiran?
Yeah, sure. I mean, great questions to start with, Ravi. So thanks for asking that. I would love to get back, go back 25 years ago when I kind of started my career, and how it has changed really, the environment has changed. So, well, after my MBA, I joined the Indian banking industry, right? So the new crop of private sector banks had come up, like ICICI or IDBI and HDFC and all that. So I joined one of those private sector banks, did my 1 year of training after, which is mandatory, right? So the management training kind of program. And then I kind of got into credit risk, right? So my tryst with risk started way back in my banking life itself. And across the next 9 years in banking industry, I had learned the foundational risk management theory and practice, right? So I got a vantage point because I was right up close working in banks, underwriting deals, originating loans as a relationship manager, as a corporate banker. I was involved in detailed underwriting process, which included, understanding the financial statements, the balance sheet and profit and loss account, looking at the cash flows to see whether this company can repay the loan from their own cash flows, right? So from their own business. Yeah. That's the most important aspect that a banker looks at. But, the important lesson that I had learned is risk management starts where the financial statement ends, right? So the financial analysis and ratios are all great, right? But risk management is way beyond that. Risk management is about understanding the company, its strengths and weaknesses, right? We would do a detailed company research to understand each and every company to look at what are its potential competitive advantages in the industry. To do a detailed industry research to see that the industry has good potential for future, because today it might be a great industry, growing industry. Tomorrow, because of any policy changes for any reasons, it may not be a favored industry anymore. So I think it's very important to understand the industry. It's very important to understand the management, right? Their strengths and their weaknesses, their background, and most importantly, their willingness to pay, right? And so all of these decisions go into a final decision to lend or not lend. It's not just the financials. And I'll give you a quick example. We would the most exciting part of my job was that when a loan application would come, I'll go and visit them in their office. I will look at their factories, look at their processes, understand the entire manufacturing process. If it's a manufacturing company, raw materials and finished products, how do they make it? How do they sell it? Meet the leaders, the shop floor managers. You learn a lot from these exposure. That's what important in your becoming a more holistic risk manager. And I think what I brought to my jobs and thereafter, after 9-10 years, I moved to Genpact, where I built large risk analytics practices. And the learning that I had, and if you look at my journey, it's fairly unique. Started with bank, frontline banking, then went to a third-party service provider, then went to a GCC. So what I learned in my first 9, 10 years was very handy, because while I may have a better data analyst, Nandini talked about data being the new fuel, right? So I think while we would have a better data crunching guys, while I would have a better statistical mind or a mathematical mind, right? What was missing is the link with the business. So it's most important. One of the most important things is how do you link with the business outcome, right?
Right.
And that's where I probably brought in my knowledge about understand, hey, look, what is the business outcome we are impacting, and how does the model really work together with that to deliver the impact that's required. So connecting the business with the model. So modeling is a fairly mathematical and statistically rigorous process, right?
Right.
That is the quantitative part, but there is a qualitative part, the human judgment, the human the experience which comes into play. A risk manager is successful only when he can marry the two, right? Bring them together. And that was my job. So that was my learning, from my banking career. So yeah, I mean, of course, a lot of automation happened in between. The models are kind of can be automated, or the entire development. The underwriting process, which was manual earlier, is getting increasingly automated, right?
Yeah.
So I have seen three phases. The first phase is very manual, where we used to kind of spread the financials on an Excel sheet and analyze the financials and write these statements, etc. Then there was some kind of a partial automation where you could have an OCR technology reading the numbers, filling it in the spreadsheets, and generating the ratios, etc. That was partial automation. Now, of course, if you feed the balance sheet and profit and loss account to an LLM model, and it can come out with all the analysis plus the write-up, right? You can use the obviously NLPs and your LLMs to generate those things completely automatically. But unless there is a human judgment, a human expertise, oversight, or kind of overlooking these models, I think the entire concept will just fall flat. So that is the importance, right? Bringing qualitative and quantitative together.
Absolutely, Kiran. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. So moving to building GCCs that matter, India not being just a back office, but becoming a thought partner. Kiran, couple of questions around you actually.
What was the second question? I don't think I really.
This was about the human qualities which you prioritize while building the teams.
I could quickly touch upon that.
Go ahead.
Because I don't think I spoke about that. Look, I think, beyond everything, right? Modeling is obviously a very involved science, right? It's a technically challenging process. You need great data crunching capabilities. You need good programming skills. You need, obviously, statistics and mathematics to kind of come in to develop a good algorithm. And I talked about the business intuition as well, the business knowledge as well that is required to make it better, right? Because ultimately, in banks, whoever develops the model, the owner of that model is usually in the business, right? They own those models. And if those models do not work for the business, they are not going to accept whatever we develop. And we can talk about any statistical jargon, but if they don't understand, they're not going to accept and implement in their process, right? So that is very, very important, marrying that. So given that fact, of course, you need all these qualities. But if I have to boil down to 2 or 3 qualities that I look for in my talent, and we have hired a lot of campus freshers and lateral experienced people as well. One is curiosity, right? So curiosity to dig deeper. Nandini, you're talking about how do we transform this data into insights, right? You need to be curious to dig deeper, to learn, to understand, to research more, look at new ways of doing that, better ways of doing that. How do you improve the model quality, right? So that is very important, curiosity. Number 2, which is not very often talked about, Ravi, and this is something which I firmly believe in, is having a growth mindset, right? So, and I kind of would urge you three to really think about it. Growth mindset is not about getting promotions every other year, right? It's not about doubling your package every 2 years. It's not about those two at all. And those might be important, but growth mindset is about the professional progress that you make, right? That to believe that certain skills and intelligence can be learned with perseverance and with hard work. It's about understanding that you're never perfect. You need to keep on improving, keep on learning, right? Keep on progressing. So that is growth mindset for me, and I think I see that quality, in my high performers. Number three, of course, is thought leadership. I would really urge you guys as you progress. Now, I think you should start with having a broad view of things, and then you can go deeper into one of them, the chosen area, and you become thought leader. Your thought should count. You should kind of shape the conversations in the industry, right? People should listen to you when you talk about it. So that is the thought leadership. And it can happen at any stage. It doesn't have to come with experience alone. It's about, I've seen many of my campus grads bringing in very different perspective. I challenge them on day one. They're saying that, hey, look, the reason I've hired you is that you don't have the baggage of legacy challenges, issues. Hey, look, I didn't get that role, this role, etc. You come with a fresh mindset, and I want you to really look at things. Don't accept status quo, really question them. So that is something that I really look for.
Sure, Kiran. I think let's move on to theme two. I think your insights are very, very valid for our college students. So building GCCs that matter is a theme two, and India not just being the back office, and how it can actually become a thought partner or already is a thought partner. Couple of questions around how you help grow.
If I may request you, if you can take one question at a time, because then I tend to forget.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay. The question is, you help grow the risk and analytics function at Genpact and Wells Fargo in India and Philippines. What was your vision for these centers beyond just execution, Kiran?
Okay. Do you guys know what GCCs are and how the offshoring business started in India? Any kind of guesses? How did it all begin back in 1990s? What was the fundamental concept on which companies in US and Europe started offshoring things to India or any other country? Any thoughts on that?
Probably leveraging global talent, because as MNCs tend to mostly have their founding HQs in the West, by like offshoring the work, they might discover new markets towards the east. So along with that, they also will get fresh perspectives, because engineers, they are shaped by the surroundings around them. So yeah.
Very well put. Any other thought? Great. Hey, look, Mehika, completely agree with you. Great points there. Leveraging global talent, the large talent pool, English-speaking talent pool that is in India, right? So that was one of the primary objectives. But even before that, they thought that, hey, look, great talent pool, English-speaking, great skills, technical skills especially, and comes at much cheaper cost than they can hire in US. So there was a cost arbitrage opportunity that they saw, and that was one of the primary reasons that the entire GCC or even the entire offshoring and outsourcing business grew in India, right? So, but trust me, if we can do it cheap, somebody else tomorrow can do it cheaper than us, right? That is not going to be a competitive advantage forever. Yeah. And you've seen that costs are going up and up in India, salaries are going up, right? So that's not a sustainable advantage that we would have forever. We need to go beyond that. And India has made a lot of progress. The companies in India made a lot of progress. They realized this, hey, look, we cannot just bank on cost arbitrage. We have to show value, right? So the value is a big word now, right? And how can you show value? I mean, you can show value by building great products, doing complex operations from here, right? Automation, which we are really good at. And then transformations, running large transformation projects from India, right? Doing a lot of analytics and data and AI, machine learning, etc., because we are fairly quick to learn things and adapt to the situation, right? These are some of the qualities that the Indian companies are now looking at. How do we deliver value beyond just cost arbitrage, right? Yeah. So to answer your question, Ravi, beyond execution, we have to look at execution is given now. SLAs, do you guys know SLAs? service level agreements and all that any contract would see. And if, for example, if a company A is setting up a GCC here or actually giving some work to a third party here, they'll enter into a contract, they'll define what are the SLAs expected. The primary job of a delivery leader was to ensure that we meet the SLAs. That was 20, 30 years back. Not anymore, because meeting SLAs is given. It's table stakes, as they call it, right? Now, we need to go much beyond that to sustain our relationship with the customer, to grow with the customer, acquire new customers. So value is innovation. Many GCCs are looking at India as an innovation center, innovation hub, right, to generate the new innovations and products coming from here. So that is the level of evolution that's happening. Not all companies are at the same level. They're at different levels, right? But they are going there. It's a mature industry now. They need to keep on leveling up, go to the next level to really retain the business, right? So does it answer your question?
It does. Absolutely, it does. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Great themes, by the way, Ravi. Chosen great themes. So thanks for that. Yeah.
Thank you. I think you're actually building up the foundation for these guys. I mean, that's helping them because you're
I
giving
hope
them.
so, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the second question under the building GCCs that matter, Kiran, is how did you navigate trust building with global stakeholders, especially when convincing them of India's strategic potential?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's continuation for the previous. Obviously, that's the reason why they are part of the same theme, I guess. I think Indian companies have come a long way. A lot of GCCs are driving the entire reg reporting from here, for example. They are doing the entire reg change transformations running out of India. There are many examples of not just the banks, but, for example, healthcare, pharmaceutical industry, which is really setting up big time GCCs out here in India.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're all kind of leading the way by way of innovation, right? So that is something that that is very important. So building trust with customers do not happen overnight, guys. I mean, it's not just you do one great presentation and share one thought and then suddenly the trust is built.
Yeah.
In my last company, Ravi, so when I was working for this American banks GCC, I'm not going to name that. You're going to search for it, but yeah. So basically, my partners in US were completely new to working with India. They're not worked with India, right? So I had to really start from the fact that we need to build trust and credibility, right? And how do you build that? The most basic part of that is, one, you understand what they want, what they're looking for, what does success mean to them? How do this define success in the first place, right? So you need to understand their agenda. You need to cultivate your client, whether it's internal or external, whoever it is. First and foremost, cultivate your clients. Understand their objectives, goals. Make them look good with their bosses, right? So that's what you should strive at. Customer centricity, as they call it. When you make them look good, you'll automatically look good in your company. Okay. So first is the understanding the customer agenda and all. The second, I would say, is obviously communication, right? So having a very open, honest communication. I always believe that I should deliver the bad news first, right? If I have a bad news, deliver that first, not the good news. Everybody has this reviews, customer reviews and all that. The first thing I start with, hey, look, we had a problem. If we had a problem, talk about it and how we're going to solve for that, and then go to the next part, right? So communication, open, proactive communication is very important. And my young friends, I would say that, look, this is one area that generally we Indians kind of lack. We lack confidence in ourselves. We are scared to say the right things. We are afraid of saying no. Our customers in US or partners in US, they look for candid and honest conversations. Don't be scared of any of those consequences. They will actually appreciate that. And third, and probably the most important part, Ravi, is delivering flawlessly, right? Unless you get your basics right and deliver on what you're expected, nothing else will flow really. So the most important part is to deliver excellently, flawlessly, seamlessly on your tasks and goals, etc. And flawless delivery will automatically lead to more work, better quality work, growth in the account or growth in yourself, right? So you got to do it repeatedly, consistently, year after year. And that is when the trust is built. Look at from their perspective. They sit 10,000 miles away if your customer is in US. I'm generally talking about some GCCs here. Sorry about that. But your customer is sitting somewhere else. They don't know how the local culture here, even they need to be told about what are the time zones here, what are the times we overlap and things like that. So from his perspective or her perspective, they want somebody sitting next to her or him. That's the easiest for them. But if they're made to work with somebody in India, we need to bridge that gap with proactive communication, flawless delivery, and build that trust and credibility. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time.
Absolutely, Kiran. Thank you so much. So over to Nandini.
So, sir, my questions are based on theme 3, governing AI in regulated environments when algorithms meet accountability. So, sir, my first question is, you have led transitions from SAS to Python, Hadoop, and built ML engineering teams. What are your views on balancing agility in AI with regulatory expectations?
Oh, thanks for asking this question. So I think AI governance or AI assurance is on top of everybody's mind now, right? So saying that, hey, look, everybody's talking about AI, etc. But is it safe to have? Is it secure? Is it trustworthy? It's explainable, interpretable, things like that, right? I'm sure you're learning this in your courses as well. What is XAI, explainable AI, etc. So look, I'll give you a quick background in terms of what we did when we transitioned from SAS to Python. This was a very big project because bank as a whole, especially very complex regulatory models, are very complex. They have millions of data, gigabytes of data. They're addressing billions of portfolios, right? Underlying portfolios that run into hundreds and billions of dollars. So they are really very big models, etc. Many of them are real-time models. So, for example, if Mihika approaches a bank for a loan, and they give you a loan in 2 minutes, 5 minutes, a day, whatever. How are they doing it? They're running models behind it. They're running algorithms. They're picking up the basic demographic profiling. They do some other, they might have some CIBIL scores. They have some other data. They, in fact, look at nowadays, fintech companies look at unstructured data, right? Your social media profiling, things like that. They bring it all together, model runs and gives a score and says, hey, look, yes, no, we can give it to Mihika or not. So that's how models typically run. And everybody is trying to build machine learning in this, learning from experiences. So our legacy models were in SAS. Do you guys have you heard of SAS? Statistical analysis software. Nobody, not SAS, SAS. This is one type of analytical software, very expensive. All banks, most companies did their analytics on SAS back then, right? So legacy. Then it was a little expensive, it was a little rigid, and obviously not as fast as we want it to be. Because when you run models in banks, we are talking about forecasting multi-year, for running for multi-year forecasts on models, quarter-wise, for next 9 quarters, 10 quarters, 13 quarters. So it is huge computing. It needs huge computing power. We need parallel processing, right? We need better platforms to run those. So many banks started moving towards Python, leveraging their open libraries and open source, etc. Right. So I think that's what we also did. I saw an opportunity to set up a machine learning ops, ML ops, it's called, a team which lifts the model from SAS and puts it in Python. And that's not as simple as it sounds, right? I mean, you need to make the code more efficient, run it, and make sure that it's all running fine. So it's a very major process. And I saw an opportunity to set up a team. What we are good at is we are good at these skills, right? We learn it fast. And that's something that our partners in US may have a challenge in changing the entire culture, but we adapt faster. So that team kind of worked on and delivered these models. Once it was kind of moved into a new platform, it was running much faster. We were able to implement these models much faster in a quicker timeline. So very, very important. Like I gave an example of Mihika's loan. It's called originations, loan originations, acquisition, customer acquisition. These are all scorecards. but behind the scorecard runs a very complex model, right? So it has automatically become very agile to answer your question, Nandini, right? So we are looking at very more agile platforms. Having said that, your other side of the question is the regulatory aspect. Look, banks have been doing this for many years now. And one of the banks and healthcare are the two most regulated industries, as you would know, right? My experience is banking. I can take that example. So we have been doing this for a very, very long time. So we were looking at explainability of the model, interpretability of model, looking at our data-related compliances, have a strong data governance. And there is one very important function in every bank, major banks, called model risk management, or in other words, model validation, right? It's an independent function. You develop a model, these guys will test it rigorously, making sure that they are complying with regulations. So that regulatory aspect is taken care through a very rigorous process called validation, right? So what I'm saying is the takeaway is you don't have to necessarily sacrifice agility for the sake of regulatory compliance. Both can go hand in hand, and banks are making a lot of progress in this direction.
True. So, sir, my second question is, what risks do you foresee in unchecked AI adoption within financial services, and how can leaders stay ahead?
Okay, I mean, let me kind of throw that question back to you, Nandini. So first part of the question, I'll talk about how leaders can stay and how anybody can stay in touch with that. But what are the challenges that you see as an ardent AI machine learning enthusiast?
Sir, if I talk with my experience, I see a lot of, first challenge that I see personally is computational things. So right now, as we are moving forward, I'm doing more and more research. I can see there is a lot of scope in the size of data we get in our daily life, but we do not have much computational power to, train them and get a useful insight from that. One thing is that. Second thing, working with LLMs and AI, I have seen a bigger problem that is hallucination that I'm personally right now working also on which. So these two were some recent problems that I'm currently working on, and trying
that once you start a job and the companies have bigger budgets, they will solve for computational challenges, right? So they'll have bigger, better platforms to work on that. I mean, great points. And from a banker's perspective, the other challenge is, compliance with our data privacy issues, right? I mean, you need loads of data. There is a lot of data privacy. Every country has their own data privacy rules and guidelines now. Europe has come up with GDPR a long time back, and now DORA. And similarly, India has come up with a data privacy kind of guidelines. The US has. Many states in the US have their own kind of private privacy guidelines. Australia has. So everybody's like coming out with the data privacy challenge. I'm hoping that with that, we'll be able to selectively, look at customers who are willing to share the data and use it for other purposes and all that, right? So that would be overcome. You talked about computational challenge, and that's easy to tackle, I guess. Just invest some money, and it's getting cheaper and cheaper, as you know. And other thing is hallucination, rightly said. One other, right, we talked about explainability, right? The banks and interpretability or transparency, especially for healthcare companies, etc. The way their AI is doing diagnostics and all is very important. Similarly, for banks, explainability is extremely important. And people think that AI models and machine learning models are black boxes and all that. But when the banks are developing their own models using these technologies, I think they're solving for it fairly easily, right? There are obviously many different ways to solve for the explainability factors. So I think that is not sacrificed at all. So we don't have to, I mean, as I said, necessarily sacrifice our goals for the sake of these challenges. They are easily overcome now. The bank, they remain as challenge. If with every technology comes some challenges. It's like AI has its own set of challenge. One of the bigger challenges I feel suddenly struck me is that it requires a lot of investments, right? If for an AI first company, or many companies trying to become AI first company, the employees need to be AI natives, right? So they need to understand. So there is a huge cultural shift happening. So
Right.
that's the challenge, shift the culture, move the culture to, pivot that culture more towards becoming an AI first company. Many companies investing a lot of dollars and rupees in it, but they are struggling to get the right return on investments, right? So
Right.
that's another challenge. So I'm talking about the more business challenges as such. So these are probably the challenges that obviously we'll solve for as we go along. From a leader's point, what do we need to do? Nothing. There's no shortcuts for anyone, right? For you or me, we need to keep learning. We need to keep reading. We need to do. I mean, even I do courses nowadays. I mean, I do courses to just keep up with the latest trends. I listen to podcasts like what Ravi holds on maybe AI and machine learning, and I read up and do courses as well. So I think there's no shortcut. You need to just jump into it, get your hands
Yeah.
dirty, and start leading it. That's what needs
Yeah.
to be.
That's what our teachers also say, that we need to shift towards the AI, more safe AI ethics part to whatever domain we are working, so we can
I think
implement.
AI governance, ethics, responsible AI,
Yeah.
AI assurance, all that. I think that could be a good career option in future,
Correct.
because everybody's not talking about implementing AI, but the time will come. Even today, they do that. That it needs to be governed so that
Correct.
they are secure from regulatory fines.
Right.
Thanks for those questions, Nandini. Wonderful questions. Let's move on.
So, the theme for this part of the podcast is lessons in leadership, scaling without losing soul. So my first question for you is, what leadership philosophies helped you scale a 450 member team and retain a north of 80% customer satisfaction score? And in this highly complex and competitive industry, it's, I think, even more challenging. So, if you could shine some light on that.
Yeah, great theme again, and not losing the soul. I think we started with that. There's a human touch behind everything, right? What you see. So, Mihika, I think you're talking about my Genpact experience, where when I set up large teams, grew this practice. And it's an interesting story because Genpact was earlier a GE captive, right? It was a captive center for GE in India. That, in fact, Genpact one of the first pioneering companies which has started this entire offshoring BPOs, KPOs, analytics, finance operations, etc. I think in India, right? They literally created Gurugram as it's called now. So it's one of the first companies in this space. And if you look at it, a lot of leaders in the industry have this GE or Genpact heritage, right? So I mean, we kind of when we became an independent company, we spun off from GE, became an independent company. It was very important for us to grow our customers. We cannot just depend on one client at GE, right? So we really work very hard to grow our the client book, right? And it doesn't happen overnight, but we had to put a lot of things in place. We had to put a strong sales team, a strong practice and solutions and delivery teams, and we had to have people in the geographies to manage those accounts, go to the customers and potential clients, and keep kind of selling business for them. I think it had happened over a period of time, and I got this opportunity when I joined, when it was from a GE company to a more diversified company. I had an opportunity to kind of build the business and have almost 25, 30 odd banks as customers, right? So I think that's when the team grew. So it's not just mine. It's kind of it's the contribution from many of my partners, my team, my sales team, everybody put together that made it happen. Right? It's not just my team. There are many other teams which have grown. So that numbers apart, I think the leadership philosophy that I always followed, I would kind of probably sum it up in three letters. The one is humility, right? It is to stay humble despite all that you see, successes and growth and business and all that. Why this is important? It's important because I know that I am not the best here, right? I know that I don't know everything. I know that I am not alone working in silo, but I am part of a larger ecosystem, right? And when you realize these aspects, then you are suddenly now open to opportunities of working with other partners, stakeholders, your team members, everybody, and your customers, more importantly, to grow. I mean, this is part of the growth mindset that I talked about, right? So humility is very important. And second one is talking about soul again, empathy and compassion. Because hey, look, behind AI, I mean, at the end of the day, we are still dealing with people, are we not? Right? And we need to deal with our colleagues, and our customers, our team members, with empathy and compassion, understand their challenges, work towards their growth, their career progress. So, and when you have empathy, you can still take tough decisions, but with empathy, right? So it's not that you don't need to, move people around because they're not successful in jobs. So it's not, empathy doesn't mean that you become very suddenly very generous at work. You need to really then lead from the front. So, but you do it with empathy. But that's very important. In fact, what we talked about empathy. We talked about what was the first point we talked about? Anybody remembers? I'm testing you guys now.
Humility, empathy, compassion.
Correct. Humility and empathy. I mean, I think these two are extremely important. And, I mean, learning, I mean, continuous learning. I mean, that never stops. It will never stop, guys. The day you think that learning has stopped, then you're doomed. So, I mean, these are some of there are many other leadership philosophies, but I think these are three. Lead from the front, take accountability. I always believe that buck stops at me, right? I'm the final authority and call on this. No passing the buck, no transferring the accountability. And those are very important, taking accountability and responsibility for what you do and for your success and your company's success. And one other aspect that I would talk about is integrity. I know a little cliche, but very important in your work life, and for that matter, in your life itself. Integrity is doing the right things, right thing that is right for your team, right for your company, right for yourself, right? So I think putting the company ahead of you, putting others ahead of your own personal agenda. So that is very important. Yeah.
Thank you for such actionable advice, sir. My next question for you is, how do we move leaders from efficiency-led mindsets to value-led transformations?
Wow, we're asking some great questions. Megha, so from efficiency-led to value-led, right? Is that your question?
Yeah.
Look, both are important. You don't have to choose one for the other, right? Efficiency is important because when you're working for customers, and I'm talking from my own industry's perspective, your customers expect you means, I say, the company, the company you work for, your leaders, etc. They expect you to deliver more for less every year. Okay, they're never happy with whatever you give, and they say you need to deliver more but reduce the cost, renegotiate the contract, right? So the expectation is that you do the same thing better every year, every passing year, and therefore reduce, make it more efficient, improve the processes, automate wherever possible. I always encourage my team to automate. Sometimes what happens is some people might have this doubt, hey, look, automation might lead to my role redundancy, right? So what would happen to my role if I automate everything? And now agentic AI would come and do that, even the intuition part and everything else. What happens? So look, I always told them that if you don't automate, somebody else will, and you'll anyway lose your job, right? You rather do it and grow in your role, do more meaningful roles, more analysis, more value-driven roles, rather than doing something that can be automated anyways, right? So efficiency is given. We have to continue to work, and leaders need to focus on that just to kind of retain their accounts and clients. Value is something that will probably make you grow in your business, right? So I think value is about understanding the business outcome. How do you translate your problem statements into a more actionable business outcomes. Like, for example, we develop models. Hey, what is the model you're developing? Your revenue model. I mean, it's not just so much of revenue. We are trying to increase the sales of the company, acquire more customers, increase it by 20% without increasing our risks, right? And therefore, my revenue would go up by 20%. My costs probably will come down. My losses will come down by 20%. I can detect more frauds real time so that it kind of reduces the impact on my bank. So these are some of the actionable business outcomes that you should focus on. So I would say that you need to focus on both. Value is what creates your vision for the team, and everybody should be aligned to that particular vision that, hey, we are in this business for this objectives and business outcomes, right? And not for doing, just kind of executing our tasks and coming in the morning and do some tasks and then go back in the evenings. No, that's not what you're here for. That's anyway given. That will get your salary. But if you want kind of more, then obviously think about value.
Thank you, sir, for the insights.
Ravi, I hope we are going okay, right? It's not too...
No, absolutely right. I think we started a bit late, right? So we're on time.
Yeah, great.
So moving to the next theme. The next theme is about giving back and going beyond. Your unseen leadership in mentoring, building communities, and instilling purpose. So my first question is, you have mentioned your love for mentoring and cultural exploration. How would you say these passions reflect in your leadership style?
Great. So look, you never sit back and think about, hey, look, how did your upbringing shape your leadership? But now that you ask this question, I'm just trying to go years back and think about how did my upbringing shape my leadership philosophies. One thing I didn't say that because of my upbringing, or rather, I grew up in multiple locations in India, different locations, right? My dad was in military services, and he had a transferable job. So I studied in 3 or 4 different cities, including Pune. I mean, that's my association with Pune. I did my 10th and 12th in Pune. It's a cantonment area called Dehu Road, after your Pimpri and Chinchwad. Right now, I think it's become very integral to Pune. Those days, we used to go by locals, etc. So I grew up in multiple different parts of India. I grew up in defense colonies, open playgrounds, and seasonal sports. Every season would bring its own different sports. Played all kinds of sports. I had the opportunity to kind of grow up in a kind of a very probably a warm, secular environment, diverse environment, and made new friends every year. So all this, I think, it taught me to respect diversity. And when you respect diversity, you respect diverse ideas and thoughts, right? You welcome them. One of the philosophies I always followed is to have a very consultative decision making with my team members, my immediate leaders, be open to their suggestions, but take the final call, because you are obviously responsible for the final call. Take the final call, but be open to suggestions, etc. So I think that kind of appreciating the diversity, being patient, and listening, right? That's very, very important, right? Listening is extremely important. So, for example, I studied in 5 different locations in schools, and I went and did my MBA from other location. I did my engineering from a different location. So I think this really, really helped me shape, hopefully, into a better leader. And I can fairly say that, look, the greatest joy I get is when some of my team members go on to do big things in the industry, and many of them have done it. I'm very super proud of them. And they come up and, in some conferences somewhere we meet, come up and talk about those good days that we had, right? So I think that is the biggest joy as a leader that I get. So I think upbringing does, but, you can have your own leadership style and still be effective. There is no one principle cookie cutter approach to anything in life, I guess. So these are the things that I learned growing up, admiring or appreciating the cultural kind of nuances, differences, and diversity that we have, right? Is that your question, Shardul? Did I answer your question? Did it have any other part to it?
Yes, sir. No, this was it. Thank you for your answer. I actually had another question, which was what advice would you give to young professionals from, say, tier 2 to 3 cities looking to enter the fields of risk, AI, and analytics?
Hmm. Look, some of the things I already spoke about, Shardul, but at the risk of repetition, probably I'll just sum it up. But tier two, tier three is no excuse anymore, guys, right? So in this information age, everybody is kind of equal. Very interestingly, uh, many years back, I was in Ladakh, right? So not Ladakh, in fact, Manali. From Manali, you go up to the Rohtang Pass to cross over into Ladakh. And even in Ladakh, there are even higher passes like Khardungla and all that. So I was there, and when I reached Khardungla and Rohtang Pass, I thought I am on the top of the world. And this is years back, many years back. I'm not talking about recent trip. And I thought I'm top of the world, cut off from everything else, alone, or I was traveling with my wife. So just as I was thinking about it, then I got a phone call, right? And network was there, right at the top of the, Kardungla or Rohtang Pass in those days, back then when the Indian telecom sector was still growing. So you're never too far away from technology, data, Wi-Fi. And in fact, recently I made a road trip in Himachal, went to very extreme remote areas. And I was in this small Airbnb deep in the woods next to the mountain slope. I was thinking, hey, finally I'm cut off from work and all of that. And then it had wonderful Wi-Fi, better than what I get in Bangalore. So my point is you're never too far away from that. So I think tier two, tier three, tier one, all are equal, right? Opportunity wise. Some of you might have grown up in tier two cities, now come to Pune. So my advice is, apart from what I talked about, being curious, being hungry, have a very broad-based view first, and then go deeper into the chosen areas, but have a very broad perspective. I talked about learning continuously, right? It never stops. But I would probably just talk about two or three more things, right? Apart from these. One is obviously keep building your personal brand, right? It's very important. I realized it pretty late in my life. Oh, here, look, I can do a lot of stuff on LinkedIn and all that. Build a personal brand. LinkedIn is the starting point. I guess you need to do a lot more. But start building your personal brand right up front. It will really be very helpful in your growth. Okay. Number two, don't be scared of failure. Many companies have this philosophy now called fail fast. Look, you fail, but you fail fast and then recover from it, learn faster, right? So don't be scared of failure when you join companies. Companies look at or will look at you guys really, as I said, bring fresh perspective and think very differently and innovatively, right? Don't fail to do those experiments and don't be scared of failing from those experiments, but learn faster and recuperate and deliver, right? Otherwise, what would happen if a company develops a culture of, being scared of failure, there will be no innovation happening there. And last and foremost, I would say take care of your health, right? Very important. Um, you're very young to really feel the impact of it, but as you get into your job, a lot of your hobbies take a backseat. Your passion for sports would take a backseat, but don't let that happen. Take care of your health, and I don't have to really tell you that. That is probably the most important thing, and I think the world is open for you guys. A lot of people might say, hey, look, AI is going to eat up jobs and, take away jobs and all that. It will probably take away some jobs, but it will create a lot more jobs, right? So I think you have the entire canvas to paint on, you have the entire world to conquer. And one more, be very geographically agnostic, okay? Don't think, hey, look, I'm from Pune, I need to work in Pune, right? It holds true for anyone, every one of you. Be very agnostic to location. Don't get married to your locations. Travel, go out and work in different locations if you get an opportunity. The people, I've seen that the person who takes that initiative and challenge grows in their career, right? So take that. Travel, India, abroad, be very agnostic. Take the if you get an opportunity, just grab it. Okay, so that's my piece of advice. I hope you found them in order.
Thanks a lot for your advice. It was very helpful.
Thanks so much, Kiran. I think wonderful podcast with a lot of advice for young people. I've actually written down 5 objectives for you, and you met 100% over there. I just want to list them. Objectives were around inspiring professionals and students transitioning from domain expertise to strategic leadership. Showcase how to build scalable, trust-based GCCs in India and beyond. You had a lot of case studies over there. You discuss the real-world impact of modeling AI and data and financial risk. Explore the soft side of leadership, mentorship, team building, and integrity. And finally, offer a lot of career direction insights for young professionals and students entering analytics and risk. So we met them all. Wonderful podcast. I think the starting was very good. We actually spent around 15 minutes interacting with each other, and then actually slowly build up the questions. So I think that actually helped us get that comfort level. So really, and thanks to Mihika, Nandini, and Shardul for courageously asking questions, and you guys are opening up. And Kiran wanted some kind of an insight or answer from you guys. Very, very open, and you were able to answer. So keep that going.
Really?
So any concluding words, any of you, from Kiran to Shardul to Mihika, any concluding words before we sign off?
I'll let them go first.
Sure.
Can I go first?
Yeah, please.
I mean, every single day I meet other fellow mechanical engineers who are way more experienced than me, and they're doing like things which are not even mentioned closely in our degrees or in our curriculum. And it kind of gives me hope that maybe pursuing a very core engineering degree in this day and age, when everyone is doing computer science and stuff related to computer science, I see a hope for myself in all these leaders, that maybe I can try to emulate them to a certain degree as much as possible for me. So thank you, sir.
Did I tell you, Mihika, that I am also a mechanical engineer?
Yeah.
Oh, I did. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you for having me here as well.
Yeah, thanks. It was a pleasure having you, Mihika. Anybody else?
Yeah, go ahead, Shardul.
So, like you mentioned, one key thing that I learned from you is that over my career, it's very helpful if I'm being proactive. So
Yes.
That is actually what I have been trying to do, and it was a great opportunity. Thanks a lot for the opportunity to have me here, and it was great learning from you.
Yeah, be proactive. That differentiates and separates the wheat from the chaff. Never think, hey, this is not my job, right? Somebody else will do it. So be very proactive and take that initiative. People really love it, especially when you start working in companies. They'll really love the fact that you come up and ask for more work, more initiatives, and that's really a hallmark of a successful professional.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you, Ravi sir and Kiran sir, both of you, to give such kind of guidance to us, young leaders. So the 2 points that, I really loved in the interview. First was the reassurance you gave us on the explainable AI. So right now in our college, we are really learning in the such projects that we are building AI projects, right? So our teachers are motivating us to, being more explainable towards whatever prediction we do or towards whatever the results we show. So that was a kind of reassurance that the same thing is happening in the industry also. So we are on the right path. And second thing, the point you said that, we should start with the broader perspective. That's something, I have learned that, while starting with a project or, working in a team. So we should be first with the broader perspective, looking at the problem and researching about it, and then slowly moving down, holding its key challenges and characteristics. So these were the 2 points that made me look into how I am working personally also. So thank you so much, sir.
I'm glad you liked Nandini. Thanks for putting that together, and thanks to you, Mihika and Shardul, for patient hearing. I know that you are much sharper, more technically talented than I am. But the only thing that I would like to say is that with all the technical skills, develop your softer skills, right? So that is really going to be important because technologies can keep changing, but if you have the right soft skills, you can easily navigate through those changes and emerge stronger. I talked about various soft skills, right? I'll not repeat that, but one thing probably didn't talk about is network among, now that three of you know each other. Start networking with your peers, with build that network from right now. Okay, thanks a lot. And Ravi, thank you so much for having me in this podcast. It was a lovely Sunday morning talking to some young and bright minds.
Most welcome. So I just want to end up by saying, Shardul, Mehika, Nandini, you are the alumni of this Campus Catalyst program, right? So my network, Kiran's network, is open for you guys. Anyone that you want to connect to, meet and talk. As we've discussed about getting Pankaj to talk to you, we'll do that maybe in a week or two. And our network is open. So whenever you have any kind of query, I think you're connected with Kiran on LinkedIn, right? So you get his number. And
oh, you did? Okay, I will look up and accept those invites. Thank you.
So be in connection with all of us wherever you have any kind of question, any kind of help, just a call away, guys. So thanks so much, Kiran, Nandini, Shardul, Mehika. A wonderful episode of the Campus Catalyst, the second one. I will look forward to the third one again. I'm going to come to you for your friends again from different campuses, and we'll have a next one very, very soon. So thanks so much, all of you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.